welcome back to Beyond Territory. It's Doug again. In this episode, I'm going to show you how you can make your own modular river.
I need a bigger cutting mat, but I'm going to have to just make sure I don't mess up the kitchen table. I haven't got a table big enough in my garage at the moment. So let's mark it out to begin with. So all right, so all I'm going to do now is measure and make sure every point that it ends is the same distance. So that's coming up 8 centimetres, 3¼ inches. And I'm just going to make some alterations just to make sure that the river is that width. And then I want this section to end here. So let's make sure it ends at the right distance, which is there. So I need to make this a bit bigger. 2 centimetres or so wide of the river on each side. Basically, I don't want to cut on this edge, so I want to have a little bit of a bank of the river all the way around the edge. Knife nice and sharp, get my ruler in place. Obviously, all the safety bits, don't be silly with your knife. Make sure you're cutting nicely. Make sure you've got a nice sharp blade so it cuts easier. Great. All right, starting with one of the curves. As I said, I'm going to come away a bit with it, and I'm just going to cut the outer edge of card, so the paper of the foam core card first. All right. And then I do the same on the other side. There you go. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Now that I've got my 3 pieces, what I'm going to do is taper the edges, all right, on the outer edge, just to give a bit of a natural slope to the edge, okay? That's the bit you've got to be a little bit careful with. You need to make sure you've got your sharp knife. And all you're going to do is take off the edges like so, at a slight angle, cut away from yourself. Cool. So now, the aim is, what I can do, when it's modular, I'll be able to line up that one with that one on that curve, or the other edge, straight bit going that way, curve going that way. See what else, see how I can change it and flip it and rearrange my river to whatever way I want. I just follow the line that I drew on before as accurately as I can, and I'm just cutting not too far down, but just through the card layer on top, and then scoring along the inside. On the outside it stays where it is. And then what we're going to do is pull off the card layer. Alright, now for the messy bit. What we want to do is with like this one I did earlier, blue feeder, I didn't think I'd ever say that, but it's just basically cut away the bed of your river, okay, but keep the banks intact. So I tend to come at it with a knife on its side a little bit, just come across in sections and work my way down the piece of terrain, picking it off. I love these builds. It's messy, you generate a lot of waste, but I've got my 3 parts of my river with the banks cut away, ready to the next layer. So let me just tidy up my area and we'll get some sands and PVAs stuck in. All right, be back in a sec. I just used my kids' play sand, which works really well for me, and it's really cheap for a massive bag. So bit of white glue, PVA, an old brush. I'll start with the middle one, and I'm literally going to coat it in PVA. Plenty of PVA, plenty of mess. Now my little pot of sand, and I'm just going to chuck it on. So come into it with a nice black acrylic, coating it all, making sure you got all the edges. Coming in now with a burnt sienna, and I'm just going to coat the banks and just the edges. Got a yellowy ochre, but I'm going to mix it with a little bit. And just come out a light dab of that down the middle, bit of a grey. Right, what I'm doing is just coming in with PVA glue for the banks. Alright, PVA done. Next bit, first bit of textures I'm putting on is some of my sand. Job's a good one. Shake it off, and then I'm going to come in with a bit more PVA in spaces every so often. Thicker bits of gravel, so from Army Painter, it's the brown stuff. Some nice little sprinkles, little piles, and little stones. Just come in with my bigger bits of cork, and I'm going to put them in little scattering piles in the river, on the sides, like that, little larger stones. Almost dry, so what I'm going to do now is a bit of flocking. So, in between where the rocks and the stones have been put, I'm coming back in with my PVA, trusty PVA. The flock I'm going to use is burnt grass. It's really fine. It's what railway guys use. I love it as like a real nice base coat. I'm going to sprinkle it on to the areas I just glued. Alright, so I've got my base down on my burnt grass, and now I come in with slightly finer summer flock. I dab it on in a little pile. And I don't know, there's so many YouTubers out there that are really cool, and that's how I've learned a lot of things, is just watching people like Mel, Train Tutor, Luke APS and Black Magic Craft, and all those kind of guys are awesome. And I don't know, I just picked up that for me, when I'm doing my flocking, I try and get a range of different textures, 2 or 3, into the grassy areas. Different finenesses, I don't know what the right word for that is. Longer than shorter bits. And just put it in and amongst stuff. So I'm going to leave this tonight, and then I'll come back and I'll spray it with my new favourite thing. The Geek Gaming Scenics Matte Scenic Sealant. I think it's basically watered down PVA, something along those lines. And I'm just going to spray all the stuff overwards. And then tomorrow, it'll be time for using a bit of magic, aqua magic. I also put a little bit of sellotape along the back edge as well, trying to keep a good seal. So this is a 1-part solution, and it easy pours, and it should be done in about 36 hours. So I decided to take the lid off, and I'm just going to pour it at one end. Up. Slowly let it trickle down the river. Set. And what I'm going to do now is put some like little frothy wavy bits where it impacts around the shore and around the little stones in the river. It looks quite cool, quite happy with that. Just going to make a few changes and adaptations. And what I'm going to use is the Vallejo water texture stuff, which is quite cool. It takes about 24 hours for it to harden, but you can work with it up until that point. And my little coffee stirrers, I'm going to dabble it on for now in the area where I'd like a little bit of, and then I'll just work on the other one. Right, whilst that's drying, I'm just going to add in a little bit more points of interest on my river. I'm going to bring in, I've got this I quite like them. They're quite summer undergrowths. They're like little reeds and bushes and stuff like that. And I'm going to take a bit of PVA and just attach a little bit of a bush on one side, and then another thing I really like are these little tufts, stick-on tufts. So I dry brushed on top of the still water effects from Vallejo, just where it's a bit raised to show the water rushing by. Finished nice and lightweight, hard, durable, not bending anywhere. Really won't take much space up. Connect really easily on your table. I'm going to make another curved piece. It changes a bit of a direction, maybe more of an S shape or a C shape, just to get more of a wiggle in the river. But just to demonstrate for you guys, you've got an idea. All right, quite a nice change of pace from painting minis. All right, cool. Hopefully, when things get back to normal from lockdown, I can actually show you on the tabletop a couple of games playing with it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad you watched it. Well, thank you for watching it. It was a fun build, and I hope you pick some tips or snippets of what I do and mix it with your own hobby skills and your own techniques, or just have a go at what I did. Take care of yourselves. Bye.